The final batch of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is here for 2025. That's right, the C925 is here, and to the dismay of many bourbon drinkers, it comes in at the lowest age statement we've seen since Heaven Hill made the age statements variable in 2023 at only 9 years and 1 month old. Let's talk about it, find out if age is truly just a number. Come right back, it's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for all the great comments and support. Appreciate everybody. So since B523, when Heaven Hill decided to make the ages variable on Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, essentially stripping the 12-year age statement from the label, ECBP has been one of the most criticized and put under the microscope releases each and every year. 3 times a year to be exact. Historically, the C batch is the one that people wait for. The C batch, or the last batch of the year, is usually the one that, well, if you go back and you look at the C923, which is the 13-year-old one, everybody is almost waiting for that one to come along. But unfortunately, we don't have that with this C batch this year here in 2025. Here are the stats. So Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C925 is bottled at 129 proof. Now the age statement says 9 years and 1 month old. And remember, the youngest whiskey in the bourbon is 9 years and 1 month old, so there could be some older bourbon in there. It's bottled uncut and unfiltered for an SRP of $74.99. All right, so I'm not gonna waste too much time here. I'm just gonna dive right in. We will compare this to the B525, which I really love, so we'll see how it compares. Now, when the age statement got posted for this and people found out it was only 9 years and 1 month old, you know, a lot of people kind of lost their mind. I'll get into kind of the state of ECBP here once I taste through this, but first let's just dive right into this one. So you have your usual ECBP color, just nice golden, copper, almost dark honey type of color. Let's see what we get here. Getting a lot of brown butter, brown sugar, you know, typical ECBP flavor here. Almost coming off a little bit peanut butter in a way to me. Maybe a little pecan, but not like sweet pecan pie, just like a dried pecan. I'm searching for that dark cherry I like to find in Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. There might be a hint of that there. Not a lot, but it actually does have a nice sweetness. I think the brown sugar, the little faint hint of cherry, the pecan, it's all there. I mean, your baking spices are here. It's a very typical ECBP nose. Nothing's really jumping out. I'm actually surprised at how much oak is here. Not really getting a lot of sweetness, but I thought at 9 years, 1 month, you know, we would have less oak. But again, that's the youngest bourbon in the blend. But this has opened up nicely. When I first cracked this open, guys, first pour, it smelled hot and it smelled very oak forward and almost astringent. And I was getting a lot of ethanol coming from the glass. I mean, 129 proof, it's still not, you know, a low proof point, but it's actually got a little sweeter on the nose. So let's go to the palate and see what we get. Cheers. So not as sweet as I was hoping on the palate. This is more oak driven, more of that Heaven Hill nuttiness profile is really coming to the forefront here. Tons of cinnamon, almost cinnamon red hot candy here. Your vanillas, your caramels are here, but they're almost taken over by the astringency and the oak tannin that I'm picking up. It's a little bit drying. The oak is pretty forward to me, at least on my palate. Let's go for another sip. Second sip, it folds into more of a honey, almost Cracker Jack type of flavor profile to me. That Cracker Jack caramel corn is, I feel like, what I'm picking up. It does it. It actually is a little bit astringent, so I do feel like there is a bite to this, 129 proof. This one to me has some rough edges around it. It's not really super refined. You kind of sip it, it hits you right in the mouth, and then you're just kind of left with this cinnamon red hot heat, almost to the point where it's like a chili pepper. So what I feel like I'm missing here is a little bit more of that Elijah Craig Barrel Proof signature sweetness that I really like to find in, you know, the butterscotch flavors, the cherry, the really deep brown sugars. And while I feel like some of it is there, again, this is one of those batches that's just kind of coming off like almost like a Booker's drinks from Jim Beam, where it's kind of in your face nuttiness and drinks a little hot. Yeah, unfortunately, this one for me, it's just lacking the depth I really like in Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Man, I was actually, when I was nosing this, I was, man, this is, it's a lot sweeter than I thought it would be on the nose. I really thought that 9-year age statement, even though we've seen some really great barrel picks at 9 years that have a lot of sweetness to it, I don't think enough sweetness is here. I think it just comes in with a lot of spice, a lot of astringent oak, that nuttiness. That pecan is there, I think, but it's a dry pecan. It's not like that molassesy pecan pie that you sometimes get in Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I was hopeful for the C925 batch to go against the B525, which I really like, but let's pour it and compare. So Elijah Craig B525 comes in at 11 years, 6 months old, 126.2 proof. So bigger age here, at least a, bigger minimum age, I should say. Almost at that 12-year mark. Let's see what we got here when we compare. Oh man, see the B525 just has an extra level of just syrupy sweetness. It's almost candy coated. Whereas this one, the C925, yeah, it just gets into a more honey, nutty profile, especially on the nose. I think the baking spices are really heavy here on the C925, but it also carries that, that cinnamon red hot note, the pecan. It's got a little bit of molasses, but not nearly as sweet as what you're finding in the B525. All right, let me try the B. Yeah, see the B525 gives you the oak, it gives you the texture, and it gives you the layers without the astringency. Even coming off of the C925, this has more of a sweetness to it. It has more of a flavor punch to it. It's a little bit more refined. Going back to the C925 here, I mean, it still tastes solid, but when I just came off the B525, this thing to me tasted like straight up peanut butter. And while I don't mind that in Elijah Craig Barrel Proof sometimes, because it is a little bit of a departure from, what Elijah Craig Barrel Proof usually brings, it's still not the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof that I personally like. I just don't think that this one is bringing all the different textures and flavors that I personally like. Now, just to be transparent, as you guys know, I do get these media bottles sent to me from Heaven Hill. So again, just being transparent. But I will say the C925 just isn't bringing the same type of excitement to my palate as the B525 is. Yeah, just the elevated sweetness on the B525 just really hits home. I actually think you get the oak without it being too drying, too tannic, where I think the C925 just gives you a little bit too much of that. Okay, so before the final breakdown, here's a few thoughts about Elijah Craig Barrel Proof as a whole. I kind of think we're at an interesting point with Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and Heaven Hill can do whatever they want. They're Heaven Hill. They're gonna make great whiskeys no matter what we say. But I think it's still a great bourbon for the money, but these days, I do see it sitting around more than I'm used to. Now, is it the state of whiskey and the market correction overall? Or is it the variable age statements that's affecting the overall interest in the bottle? I would probably say it's a bit of both. Now, batch C923, and I hate to bring it up because everybody likes to bring it up, but that batch with that 13-year, 7-month age statement and 133 proof label, I think was both a blessing and a curse for Heaven Hill. Because I feel like they had to know to some point that that was gonna be the batch that the rest of them will be compared to. And I also think it's the batch that people like us who buy this, it's a batch that was hopefully gonna become a blueprint for future batches. The closest thing we've come to hitting it was the B525 batch, which we just talked about, which is 11 years and 6 months old. So we know Heaven Hill has been allocating a lot of older whiskeys to other releases that have been great. I just feel like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which used to be kind of the beloved release each and every year, has been kind of left behind. And now we're seeing, here in 2025, you have two of the youngest age statements that we've seen in Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which is the A batch and this C batch. I don't know, maybe in 2026, we'll finally get a label again with a 12-year age statement or 12 years and beyond for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Time will tell. Doing my best for all of us, guys. Okay, final breakdown. All right, final breakdown of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C925. Price for this one, $74.99. Resale market value, I think I saw one or two of these for maybe $125. And as far as availability, these have been sitting around a little longer, but I'm still gonna say that the availability is wonky because some states don't see the current batch for like 3 or 4 or 5 months later than the actual release. So it just depends on what state you're in. So as I like to say, the availability on ECBP can be wonky. Value for this one, when it comes to this batch in particular, I would probably say the value here is above average. I think it's a solid whiskey. I don't love it. So I'm not gonna say it's a good value. Like B525, I thought was a good value for what you got. That was a delicious bourbon. But for this one, I'll just say it's above average. Most I pay here is definitely not gonna be any higher than retail. I think you keep it right at that $74.99 mark. And if you're lucky enough to get it at a Costco, sometimes Costco's have these even cheaper in the $60 range. So depends where you live, but I wouldn't pay higher than retail for this. As far as alternatives for this one, they're gonna be a little bit more affordable. Man, just go all in on Wild Turkey Rare Breed or even Knob Creek 12 year. Now I know Knob Creek 12 year is only 100 proof, but I think Knob Creek 12 year at 60 bucks, $65, you know, for the money and the age statement, I think is a really good buy. Again, it doesn't have the proof and the astringency as some of the Elijah Craig barrel proofs, but I do think it's a great pour for the money. Wild Turkey Rare Breed has some 12 year in the blend, so I think those are gonna be your two top alternatives. And lastly, is this a skip, a chop it for you buy, a buy, or a buy and back it up? I think if you're a fan of Booker's and you kind of like that harsh, maybe peanut forward type of flavor profile, I think this is gonna be a buy, or at least a try before you buy for this one. If you don't like that type of profile and you're really not wanting that in your Elijah Craig barrel proof, I hate to say it, but this is probably gonna be a skip, because I do think it holds a lot of those flavors that are similar. Like I said, it drinks a little bit on the hot side. It's a little bit astringent. It's got that nuttiness, a little bit of a drying oak spice to it. Let me go for another sip here. I mean, honestly, if you gave that to me blind, I would feel like it's a Booker's bourbon from Jim. It sounds crazy, but to me, it does taste like that. It's got a lot of honey, a lot of nuttiness to me. There's a really nice punch of sweetness right there on the front of the palate, but I just think it gets a little bit too drying on the back end. Yeah, so I think if you like that profile, if you're a Booker's fan, even a Jim Beam fan, or you like that heavier nutty profile from Heaven Hill, then this is gonna be one you're gonna wanna try before you buy or buy. But if you don't really like that in your ECBP, if you're wanting the sweeter Elijah Craig barrel proof, the heavy brown sugar, the cherry, the sweetness, that's not what this batch is. So for that, it would probably be a skip for a lot of you. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed this review for the Elijah Craig barrel proof C925. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this one. Are you really disappointed in the age statement? Do you not care about the age statement? Are you just kind of excited to see what these taste like each and every time? So as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers, and I'll see you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. Cheers, folks.